I've had a few messages asking me if I can talk specifically about how I use my brakes when I'm going through a series of bends, which I'm going to do as a bonus clip. I also want to talk about the problems with post-test training. Why is the take-up so bad, even though we know the benefits it can give us? And I'm interested in your thoughts as well. Okay, so here we are about to ride a country road. First thing is you'll notice the weather conditions. It's nice, sunny, dry roads. So I'm going to be using the brakes differently if I do need to use the brakes from what I would do if it was a wet road. If it was a wet road, for example, I'm using my brakes more evenly distributed, and I would be applying the front brake before the rear and gently and progressively. On a dry day like today, I'd be using more front than rear if I needed to use the brakes at all. And how much percentage I use, as I said earlier, depends upon the situation. I like to hear it's uphill, so I'm using the natural gradient to help slow me, and I would really just be using, for me anyway, I'd be quite comfortable just using my gears there and also use the uphill gradient to help slow the motorcycle down. Notice in this next bend as well, we can see we're still going uphill, so with good forward planning, just rolling back the throttle here, use the appropriate gear to slow us down. If I feel like I'm slowing down more for a bend and I've got a car behind me, for example, especially if I've even got a biker with me less experienced, rather than just using my gearbox, I'll also use my brake lights just to show a bit of brake lights. So it really depends on the situation. Like see here, it's a nice gentle curving bend. I can see the limit points moving away steady. So as I approached there, I wouldn't have been using the brakes at all, sorry. I'd have just been in the appropriate gear on approach, and that would help me. Now like see here, the signs are all there. I know this road, so I could do it probably just on gears quite comfortably, but you might find that as a more experienced rider, you'd be more than happy there to be using your brakes to bring the speed down because of all the signage telling you there's a sharp bend, the sharp deviation and the differential in speed, plus it was downhill. The same as here, you've got the house on the near side. I'd probably be braking a little bit if necessary, especially looking for any hazards that could be maybe there, and if not braking, at least covering the brake. And like see here, it's downhill, you might need to use a little bit of brake just to give you that confidence of setting your entry speed. There's no point trying to do it in here, look, it's tighter bend. No point running in here, trying to do it without the brakes, going in too fast, finding yourself not able to lean enough and suddenly running wide as you go in. Absolutely pointless. There's no point scaring yourself. Don't think you're forced to ride every section of road with forward planning to the extent that you never ever need to use your brakes. We want to show mechanical sympathy for the motorcycle as well, so there's no point kicking down through the gearbox in an effort to slow the bike down when really brakes would be the better option. Now let's hear over the blind crest, because you saw it so far back, you're probably going to do that just with your gearbox. Now like see here as well, you can see it's a left hand bend followed by a right. You might need to use your brakes just to bring the speed down to an appropriate speed, remember based on the limit point, vanishing point. Well, once you've got that speed down, like the through here, uphill section, you'd find the natural gradient would be working for you, but no need to brake at all there. Here you've got a blind crest, so the rider's easing back, and in the vision you can see there's a bend up ahead, left followed by right. So again, you're rolling back on the throttle, allowing the engine brake to slow you down, but if it wasn't slowing enough, remember, use a little bit of brake. So in other words, whether or not I'm going to use the brakes really depends upon the situation that I'm in. If I need to lose quite a bit of speed, then I'm going to use my brakes. If I can do it comfortably with the gearbox, then I'm going to do it with the gearbox, but I'm certainly not going to be unsympathetic to the bike's needs. So every situation depends, and again, if I've got people behind me or other riders, I might intentionally just show some brake light because I want to give them some sort of warning as well. Okay, so I'm going to have my rant now about post-test training. We know the benefits of knowing more and riding better, so why is the take-up so poor? I want your thoughts as well on this. Hi, welcome. John Macdonald here at ProScot. Well, you've made it to the final video. It would have been absolutely impossible for me to have covered everything you ever need to know to ride a motorcycle safely, but I've done my best to go through at least what I think is important areas that you need to know riding a motorcycle, not only in terms of roadcraft, but in terms of machine control as well. And hopefully I've managed to help you to understand that safe riding and good riding and enjoyable increased pleasure in riding starts first of all in your mind. And the more that you learn and the better you become, the more enjoyment and more pleasure you're going to get from your motorcycle riding. I was recently contacted by Pagoda PR company acting on behalf of ROSPA, one of the advanced motorcycle training organisations, asking me what sort of things I thought needed to be done to improve the take-up of post-test training, and why post-test training generally
is so poor. There's not a lot of people go on to take further training after they've passed their basic L test. Why is there such a kind of negative attitude towards post-test training? Well, I've got my own thoughts and feelings on this over the years, just from what I've seen, what I've heard, and the feedback that I've had from students. I would really like your own thoughts now that you've watched the video series, and please remember that was a video series. I've had a lot of people looking at video 27 and then commenting that I didn't mention or break down IPSGA, when quite clearly it was breaking down earlier. So remember, that was a video series that needs to be watched in sequence for it to make proper sense. But my own thoughts are that why there's a poor take-up of post-test training. Well, here's some of the things I think, but as I say, I'd like your own thoughts. You know, when this video is uploaded, let me know what you think on YouTube. Let me know what you think on Facebook, wherever it's loaded up. You know, don't sit back, don't sit quiet. We tend to hear one side all the time, and sometimes that's the negative side that we get to hear. Those that have positive things to say, and you know, they tend to sometimes just view from a distance. We never hear their views. Express yourself, open up your views, let us know what you think. So here's some of my own thoughts why the take-up's so poor. The test training is so poor because some people have a poor experience during their training when they went and did the motorcycle L test. Perhaps they felt they were talked down to, derogatory. It was a very negative based training style, focused very much on what you were doing wrong and not what you were doing right. We call that negative based training, as opposed to positive based training, which works more on coaching, working with individuals. Having your riding incorrectly assessed and criticised. Some people are frightened to go along to post-test training organisations, and I don't just mean the likes that IEM and ROSPA. I'm also talking about some advanced training organisations themselves, where the riding is effectively ripped apart. I've heard people say that they were made to feel so bad at the end of an observed run, for example, that they didn't feel they were even safe to ride back home again. Now, that's not going to encourage the uptake of further training if people feel that they're going to be assessed and criticised in such a way. The image associated with post-test training, polite rider, Dayglow Dan. There's this feeling that if you go and take further training, that somehow, you know, you've got to go about with your Dayglow vest on, and your bib that says polite on the back, like you're trying to be the police and pretend to be the police. That's not true. There are some people who wear garments like that, but that's not necessarily a reflection of what post-test training is all about. I don't even like the word advanced training, I'll be honest with you, because it conjures up for some people bad impressions. Don't like that. It's not, there's nothing advanced about what I taught, really. A lot of the stuff I was teaching there, it's really a journey that you're on, a journey that should never really end. If you're a keen biker, you want to know more, and like I say, the more you know, the more you learn, the more pleasurable it is. So whatever reason you go into motorcycling, remember that the more you learn, the better it gets, the more enjoyable it gets. Don't think of it as advanced. It's not advanced, it's just a further skills development. You know, we all walk a certain way, we all talk a certain way, we've got certain ways of doing things. It's the same with your riding. You've got your own way and your own style of riding. I never look at someone and try and force them to be a little clone of me. That's the last thing I want. I want to look at them, their natural ability, and look at what I can work with, but look at the areas where I can bring about improvement for them and improve their skills, and to do that in a way that's going to be natural for them. I don't believe in knocking square pegs into round holes. It just doesn't work. Trying to create little clones of myself, you know, dotting I's, crossing T's, and sticking rigidly to you must be exactly on this point of the road exactly the same as I was. No, I'm looking at flexibility here. If we analyse people's riding to that degree, we can sometimes look at what was really a good standard ride, and we can find criticism in that ride to the point that that person just feels, well, why would I want to even go back and get more training? The latest attitudes of some advanced organisations, members and instructors. I have actually witnessed this myself first time. I was unfortunate enough once to sit in Macdonald's restaurant, and a group of riders come in. They'd been out for an observed run, and in a very loud voice the observer went about basically ripping this person a new you know what, and people in front of people in a McDonald's restaurant. I mean, come on, we're supposed to be helping each other. We're all supposed to be there to help, support and guide. We were all learners once. You know, making someone feel so bad about their own riding that they feel worthless, that's not good at all. So, and this elitist attitude that you're not part of the gang, you're not part of the club, you know, that you've just passed an L test, I'm an advanced rider. Come on, there's lots of different levels out there. I mean, I look at my riding skills and realise that if I compare myself with somebody like Marquez in terms of track ability, I'm nowhere near the man. The man's on another level compared to me. He might not be very good on the road though. So in other words, we've all got different levels, we've all got different abilities. The idea is to try and feed positivity, not negativity. Try and encourage others to want to learn more and do that in a positive way, you know. Only poor riders need help. An admission of your weakness. Again, this is something else that I see, that for some reason we've got this feeling that if you go along for post-test training, it's somehow an admission that you're a terrible rider, that you're useless. Only useless people should go and get post-test training. Not at all. I went back to racing there after a 10-year layoff. The first thing I did was went to Ian Simpson at Valencia, and ex-multiple British champion. Used to race again Ian way back in the day, and asked Ian, would you take me around the track, have a look at my riding, give me some hints and tips. Did the same with Simon Crafar. Went and got help with Gary at Not So Fast, and then went to Dean Ellison at Cartagena and got advice from them. So there's me as an seven-time Scottish champion. The first thing I did was go back and get help from these guys and some hints and some tips, because I was going to be riding bikes with modern technology. The last time I rode bikes, they didn't have all the electronics on them. So I'm always trying to learn and learn new things. So don't think that going for further help is some kind of admission of weakness or says that you're a rubbish rider. It's exactly the opposite. The misuse, oh no, sorry, I missed one out here. You learn as you go from other riders. Now let's be quite clear about this one. Yes, practice makes perfect, but the right type of practice makes perfect. If you're doing something, if you're learning from someone that's doing it wrong themselves, or doing something that can be potentially dangerous, then you're learning those habits. So that might not necessarily be a good thing. Sometimes that can be the blind leading the blind. Going out in other groups and riding with other people, yes, it's going to get you extra experience, but as long as those people are riding it a way that suits your riding style, at speeds that suit your ability, and are demonstrating good skills themselves that you can learn from. But you can equally go out with people that maybe has a bad attitude, that maybe riding unsafe, taking real chances and real risks. And if you're learning those sort of techniques, then that's not going to be a positive experience for you. The misuse and abuse of motorcycle roadcraft. I'll be honest, it really is one of my pet hates. This is one of the older manuals, but it's not changed much over the years, although I'm reliably informed that the latest one is a step forward in terms of the images and the way it's written, etc. Having said that, I think this is brilliantly written, so I can't wait to see the latest one. You can't write a motorcycle roadcraft book that's going to cover every single eventuality that could possibly occur out there, because you would need to fill a library, and even then there would still be books missing from that library. So you have to write things generically. You have to write it in a way where there's flexibility built in, and it's brilliantly written. And the more that I've learned, and the more that I've, as an instructor and a trainer, the more I realise just how well it really is written. It's not written rigidly, it's a flexible system to allow you to be able to cope with lots of different situations. Yet the reason that people have such an issue with roadcraft is with people who read it, have a little bit of knowledge, and then they explain things in a way that's very, very rigid. Now the system isn't rigid, and they've got a particular way they want to see things done. My own riding was ripped apart by someone who does observer riding and was referring to this manual. And stuff I was getting quoted is not in this manual, it's not what it's saying. Now, again, if we're going to misuse this book and we're going to misquote it, and we're going to force our own misunderstandings onto riders, then that's doing more damage than good. We really need to understand what it's saying in this book. It's brilliantly written. It really, really is. So the misuse and abuse of motorcycle roadcraft. I'm not going to say the last word here, but you can see what it is if you zoom in at Lou. Advanced riders are a bunch of... You can see that bit there. Well, I'll be honest. Personally, I don't think I am. I like to still go out there and have fun on my motorcycle. But there's a time to go and there's a time to slow. I'm a multiple Scottish champion racing motorcycles. I love going on the track and riding fast. But out on the road now, I realise there's limitations to what you can do. And we've got speed limits. But that's not the only reason, there's lots of other reasons. I need to be able to stop within the distance I can see to be clear. I need to be able to handle the what if. I need to factor that into my riding. If I really want to go out there and experience the performance of my bike and really enjoy it, I'll go to the racetrack to do it. If I go on the road, and I did it once, I could end up losing my job, my licence. 2, and put myself at risk, other people at risk. And 3, truth be known, I'll still not go as fast as I really wanted to go. Though the track's the place to take that. If I take that onto the road, sooner or later, I'm going to get hurt. So I think this idea that because you've had further training, that somehow it puts you into a certain classification is wrong. You know, and let's drop this word advanced. You know, people who go and get further training and develop their skills further are people who are getting more enjoyment, more pleasure. They're riding safer, they could be riding smoother, they could even be riding faster, but still not taking chances and still not going out there getting themselves in trouble. This is the bit that I think is causing a lot of trouble just now. Before, bikers used to be people who looked out for each other. We really supported each other. We had each other's back. Numerous times when I fell off my bike in my early days when I was learning my craft, and I just used to basically, I was a tarmac rider. What does that mean? I just looked at the strip of tarmac in front of me. I never thought about all the information that I've been teaching you. I've had numerous crashes. I really am the original poacher turned gamekeeper. My father took the keys off my motorbike and threw them away and told me to go to a racetrack if I was going to keep riding like an idiot. So you're looking at the guy here that really has got a checkered past here. I've made lots of mistakes. I've had people pick me off the road. I've had people take me to hospital. I've had people that stopped, came back with a trailer and picked my bike up. People that went and got me petrol and did things. Bikers kind of looked out for each other, and even non-bikers looked out for each other. We had each other's back. We're part of a small community. We helped each other. It doesn't matter what classification you're in, whether you're a Harley rider, whether you're a Suzuki rider, a Yamaha, Honda, whatever, whether you ride cruising bikes, sports bikes, touring bikes, adventure bikes, whether it's off-road riding you do. We're bikers. Let's remember that. It doesn't matter what level we're at. We're all from the same club. When I see people coming in wanting to do advanced rider training with me, I feel so privileged. One, they've shown a good attitude by wanting to come in. I don't worry about them so much. They want to know more. It's the ones that think they've got nothing to learn that probably worry me more. So when I see people coming in, they help to put food on my table, pay my mortgage. I'm privileged that they've come along and want to learn more. So the last thing I'm going to do is talk down to them and patronise them. I want to encourage them. I want them to get the enjoyment and pleasure and enthusiasm that I've got in my motorcycling. I want to fast track their ability to learn. I've had to learn the hard way, the hard school of knocks, crashing on the road, crashing on racetracks. So what you see here is a unique presentation, I would say, in some respects. It's not just about motorcycle roadcraft. I've got a whole library down there of all different books that I read, and everything from Keith Code and Andy Abbott and all types of people who and Kenny Roberts who have written books and various other people. So I'm an avid reader of books. I'm obviously an instructor with the Driving Vehicle Standards Agency as well. So that means that I'm into riding essential skills, the motorcycle roadcraft, all the other books that I've written as well, my years of training, my years of riding on the road, my years of racing, and pulled all that together. So just because I'm maybe teaching something that's not necessarily written in the motorcycle roadcraft book doesn't mean it's wrong. If we look at rider skills, I'm sure there'll be some stuff that Marquez could write down, and it's not necessarily wrong, it's just different. So let's keep an open mind, let's not try to be so rigid. Let's keep an open mind, let's try and be flexible. So the self-proclaimed experts, you know, they've been along for one observed run or they've passed a basic advanced test and suddenly they're going to criticise everyone else's riding based on a video screen. I've had it done to myself. My God, my riding was ripped apart in 11 key areas on one video alone. I was told that my riding was so bad, it was a bad example to other riders. I've had advanced riders personally message me on YouTube criticising me for teaching trail braking. It should never be taught. Pardon the word, bollocks. It's actually in there, and I'll prove it to you. It's there. The biker trolls that go on the social media and rip other people who go on and ask for just a bit of advice. If someone asks you for advice, give them advice if you can answer it honestly. If you don't know, don't try and give advice. Hopefully someone else will come along that can. So let's try and be positive to each other, helpful to each other. The keyboard warriors that seem to take great delight in upsetting other bikers as well. Like I say, there was a time when bikers looked out for each other. We've got enough problems with external organisations trying to dismantle biking without us ripping ourselves from within. The negative attitudes, the them and us, why have we got so many splits within it? You know, we're all bikers. Whenever I see anybody on a bike, it doesn't matter if they're on a scooter, I give them a wave, a nod. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that scooter rider today might be a motorcycle rider today and go on and so forth. It's someone else that's on two wheels. And it doesn't matter if they're just using it for commuting, if they do it for adventure riding, touring, you know, if they want to do track days, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, we're all part of the same family. Here's a wee chart that I like to think about my motorcycling. This is ability here. When you pass the basic L test, that is a basic level. It's a basic level. There's levels beyond that. Now some people get to L test, as you can see here, very quickly, and then they just level off and they don't really learn anymore. Some people, as they progress on, actually get skills fade and actually start to not ride as well as perhaps they did the day they passed their test. Some people make some improvement and again begin to plateau out. For me, I've always wanted to keep learning, keep wanting to know more. And I've found that the more I know and the better I become, the more my ability improves, the more enjoyable and pleasurable my riding becomes. And I want to get that message across to you, that whatever got you into motorcycling, whatever you like from motorcycling, it gets even better the more you know. There's nothing enjoyable but going out for a bike ride out thinking, oh my god, I wonder how many times I'm going to scare myself this time. I wonder how many times I'll end up in left-hand bends over the white line on the wrong side of the road, or going to the right-hand bend almost hitting the bank in. One person said to me, it's not a proper ride out unless you've scared yourself at least 2 or 3 times. I don't know. In my early days maybe I had an attitude like that, but it certainly changes the more you know, because that's not enjoyable. You want your family to feel relaxed when you jump on your bike and you go out there. You want them to know that you're coming back again, and you want to know you're coming back again. It's lovely to go out with a group of other riders and know that you can hold your own no matter what they're doing out there on the bike. You can hold your own. There's a time to go, there's a time to slow. If you see silliness and madness, it's back off. I sometimes go out with some riders, even as multiple Scottish champion and someone who rode really well in the wet, and I'll sometimes back off, let them go. Because through those sections I can see the road's too slippy, it's too wet, I won't take chances. I'll make up my time when I see it's safe to make up my time. So there's a time and a place for everything. The more you learn, the more enjoyable it gets. Don't let yourself plateau or skills fade. Quite often I see that happening, and then I see them giving up biking. And they give up biking because they say it's not enjoyable for them anymore. Give a wee example of some of the stuff that I've experienced myself just recently. One of my videos, I was told, for example, that it was actually positioning, a normal position. I was told I should be just slightly right off centre. The book's not that rigid, it doesn't say it like that. Now in that particular road, if the road's wide again, slightly right off centre might be the fine position to be. It's well enough away from near side hazards. It's offering a nice position here from offside hazards. It's a commanding road position. But if I'm on a narrow road, 5.5 metres wide, like the road that I was on, I'm going to be further to the left. Sorry, on this one here, I'm going to be further, to the right. So here I'm in the centre of the lane, from just right of centre for normal road positioning. But in this one here, I'm going to be further over to the right, because if you look here, the position from the near side, that's quite a lot. But on this one here, I'd want to be further over to the white line to get that same distance. So in other words, my position has to be flexible depending upon the type of road that I was on. I was told that my transition was too quick when I was going from one bend to another. It should be slow and smooth. Yes, ideally it should be slow and smooth. But if it's got a quick bend after a quick bend and I'm doing series bend linking, making sure the exit of one bend is forming the entrance to the next, I need to get to the next position quickly so I can still keep my vision. So I'm going to increase my rate of transition. Now, what do you say? What would you do if it was a wet day? Well, I'd just be riding slower. I'd be riding slower. So you can't put these rigid things on things and say you must be slightly right of centre for normal road positioning, and that I was positioned too far to the right on that narrow road. No, I was positioned further to the right because it was a narrow road. The same as I was told going over a blind crest, for example, that you should be in the centre so that you can move to the near side or the offside depending on the hazard. Well, on that particular road, one of the reasons you're in the middle here is if somebody's overtaking, you're further away from the danger and you can finish it off by moving a little bit further to left without hopefully losing your leg. Now if I sat in the middle here and somebody was overtaking over a blind crest, by the time I moved to left I've already lost my leg. So I'm more into the near side because it's a narrower road. Now if there is a broken down car over the road as was suggested, I'll get time to see the roof of the car and time to reposition. But a car coming towards me doing 40, if I'm doing 40, is a closing speed of 80. So in other words, let's stop applying this rigidity to this manual. This manual was never written like this. It was written for flexibility, and once you understand the system, you understand that. Let's not try and create little clones of ourselves. I was actually, bearing in mind that I've ridden that road for 40 years now, and I'm now a ROSPA diploma gold holder and have been for a number of years. I've been assessed with different examiners over the years on that road and many others. Police class 1. I'm sure if my riding was that dangerous and that bad, I would have been given the feedback, relevant feedback by now. And yet, I was criticised on 11 key areas. My riding, 11 key areas. Now, if my riding's that bad, then you've really got to say to yourself is, what chance has anyone got that just passed an L test going along to get their riding assessed? Now, we need to be realistic when we're giving feedback. Here's another one. Again, I've had advanced riders send me messages on this, telling me that trail braking should never be taught. never be taught. There's not a place for it on the road, and it's not in the motorcycle Roadcraft. Absolute rubbish. It is in there. I'm not going to sit here and read chapters and verse out, but I'll tell you what it says in here, in my way. But told you should never trail brake into a bend. It should only be used on a racetrack. So what we're told is if you're braking at all, brake, release the brakes, and then go in. Or the other way a lot of these organisations want to see is no brakes used at all, no lights on, and ride through a series of bends showing that you're forward planning. Great, that's great, and I encourage forward planning, but there's a time and a place when you do need to use your brakes, when your engine braking is not enough. Told that you shouldn't use the brakes as you go in. I'm sorry, but if I'm about to go into a bend here, I set my speed to stop within the distance I could be to clear here, and I've dealt with all, and suddenly something out of here suddenly appears that I could never have seen or anticipated. I now need to be able to brake as I'm going into that corner. Trail braking, therefore, is something, it's like another tool in the toolbox. It's a blend of skills and techniques. Like I said earlier, there's times when I'll go around a corner. Now, trail braking, let's be quite clear what trail braking is. Trail braking is when you actually trail off and ease off the brake as you go into a corner and ease it off. Trail braking allows us to make an adjustment to our speed as we enter. I may have downshifted through my gears and tried to set my speed as I'm entering into the corner, but then it maybe goes in a descent, the bike might just not slow down as quick as I thought it would. I maybe had a V-twin before and I'm used to more engine braking, and suddenly I got caught out with my inline 4 that's not braking as much. And all of a sudden I find I'm going at the bend too fast. Does that mean to say I don't brake now? Does that mean to say I go in the bend too fast? And yet my lean angle and rate of lean is not going to be enough to save me? And I now crash my bike and end up with a leg injury? All because I didn't know how to trail brake? Trail brake is something that you need to be able to do. And you need to have that tool in your toolbox to be able to use it. So if I see a situation now, it's nice to know that I can apply my brake. Now, if I've already got my brake on and I go into the corner and I just ease my brake off as I go into the corner, it means I can just scrub off a little bit of speed, just slow it down a little bit more, and it's done safely. And I've shown you how to do that. I'm also an expert witness for motorcycle accidents, and I've written a few reports, 2 in particular, where accidents occurred because the riders didn't know how to trail brake. If they'd known how to trail brake, the accident wouldn't have occurred. Now, if I'm in the middle of a corner, I might not actually go for the front brake. Why? Because there's a suspension movement and a transfer of weight, and it can make the bike unstable. In that sort of situation, I'll tend to roll the throttle back and apply my rear brake in a situation like that. And once I've slowed the bike down a little bit, I can maybe then bring the bike a little bit more upright and then use a little bit of front brake. So in other words, you need to have the flexibility in these tools, and all that is in there. I'm not going to read chapter and verse, but I can tell you now, all those tabs I've put there, basically, without reading them all out to you, the things on position, yes, it talks about a position from the centre towards here, but it says it's flexible, and we adjust that position, the same as they show a near side position, a middle position, and an off side position. But what position you're going to be in depends on the situation you're in, and it's not 3 monorails, you can position within to suit. The same as the trail braking, it actually does talk about engine braking going in, but it says if you need to use more than engine braking, if it's not enough, then that's when you'd apply your brakes. Yes, it advises you not to try and brake in the corner, but it doesn't say that you can't. It even says in here if you do have to brake in a corner, you should use it smoothly and gently, taking into account the road surface that you're on. So please, read the manuals correctly. Don't misuse and abuse this manual. It's brilliantly written. It really, really is brilliantly written. So, filling my series, I've had my rant at the end here, my problems with some people's attitude towards advanced rider training. We're not so-and-sos, right? We're just people that want to learn more and get more fun and more enjoyment. Let's pull together, support each other. This is my final message down here, right? Come and learn more, enjoy it more, get more enjoyment and pleasure. Doesn't matter what level you're at. You're a biker as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to judge you. I hope you've enjoyed my series. I hope you've enjoyed my wee rant at the end. It just shows my passion for what I do. I love what I do. I love motorcycling, and I want you to enjoy it as well. Stay safe, especially after lockdown. Go out there, have fun, stay safe. Thank you very much. John Macdonald, over and out.